collaborate with brands and partners.
Yeah, so we had some really good conversations even yesterday, just interesting, I guess, things I hadn't thought of, right? Working with another brand, like in the sleep category, or having products there, really like health and wellness at your company. Super obvious, but like amazing that you're doing that too. So, I mean, people are here to hear about how you really like the arc of your career, working at Red Bull, working at Lulu, now at Aura. Maybe a lot of people have seen like the Kim Kardashian post with Aura Ring, Prince Harry, Gwyneth Paltrow, Odell Beckham Jr. Like, how the freak did you get those deals done? I mean, you're one person, you're obviously connected, you've been doing this for a while. But those are still just monster efforts. What was like, and seemingly cost a lot of money, right? I mean, I've done a couple of those deals and it's big numbers, big dollars. How did you do it?
Timing and luck.
You could pick one. I'm sure they all have their own crazy story.
Well, the product is so good, right? And all the companies I've been at, the product has been phenomenal, right? Functional beverage, amazing product. I don't work at Lululemon. I still wear the product because it's so good. And Aura is just that good. And so I've been very fortunate to be in the position of, one, spending a lot of money at Red Bull and building a really good network. And I'm a big fan of building relationships. And if you're going to build them, you may as well build them for life. And so I try my best not to burn any bridges. So I've got a lot of goodwill, I've got a good karma I put out there in the universe. And so that helps. But in 2018, personally, I had a rough year. One, I had a kid, which is challenging to adjust to, and then a concussion.
Joyful and rough.
Yeah, well, put the kid and the concussion, that's a tough year. But in that year, the CEO of Aura at the time tried to hire me, and it just wasn't the right time. But in 2020, he actually came to my doorstep, and it was like the perfect opportunity. It gave me one of those offers you just couldn't refuse, and so I took it. And day one, he said, we're raising money for our C. And I guess before we got connected, because he was connected to me because he wanted to raise money for his B. So I connected him to a couple athletes who put in money and made a lot of money in the B round. But day one, Series C, how much can you raise? And I was like, maybe 5 million, with strategic. So
the directive was to raise money, not even get the talent to work with Aura. It was like, I also want some cash.
I was expecting to come in and be like, all right, what's my budget? How many million do we have?
You don't have a budget. No. I need you to get money.
Yeah. So day one, we went to work, and I put a lot of phone calls into agents, to athletes, to celebrities, people I just known, through the years. And I was amazed at who was interested. It was my first go at raising money. We ended up raising about 10 million. And so we raised with a number of athletes, celebrities, F1, pro sports. And I really was intentional in raising money with the right communities, right? Because I knew we were going to have to build and engage with these individuals and communities and have social strategies. And so I did a good spread, and we took checks from $3,000 to very large checks. And so it was pretty inclusive and made a lot of people equity owners in Aura. And in doing so, we also tied a marketing partnership agreement to that.
So talk to us a little bit about, like, maybe if you're a brand in this room, you have a super high quality product the way that you always have had in your career, and you want to do an equity deal tied to a marketing structure with a creator, with an athlete. What's the most common way to do that? How does that agreement come together? Are you always working through the agent? Is it always relationship based, like who you know? How much equity? I mean, anything you want to share there would be awesome.
Totally. And it's all about values. Just like in most things in life come to values, right? And what part of why you and I get along so well is we commiserate over 3 kids and busy life schedules, but we've shared values. We snowboard. You don't get quads like that by not snowboarding all day. But you got to find your tribe, and what you seek is seeking you, right? And I think that if you are a brand and you're looking to find an influencer or someone to collaborate, to invest with, always got to start with values, right? And I think you always have to remember that these individuals, especially if they're Michael Phelps or Jessica Alba, you're not going to go straight to them. You're not going to become their best friend. And so you gotta be realistic in like what you're trying to achieve. Think of the budget you have to spend or equity you can give. And so all of that goes into your consideration and how you want to approach it, it's often easier to go through the athlete's agent or celebrity's agent and their network. But in order to get a deal, right, you've really got to put in a lot of work. You got to build relationships.
Use the proper channels and yeah, we've seen a lot of times where like even when you have a personal relationship, you can get a little burned if you don't include the right people. Make sure everyone's on the same page. There's nothing that gets sideways when there's a lot of money and equity going around. Right?
and the talent, unless they're content creators, and kind of how I think of like athlete content, celebrity marketing. On one side, you have Odell Beckham Jr., Lindsey Vonn, Kim Kardashian, that are crazy, challenging, very expensive to work with. And in the middle, you have these brand ambassadors that are amazing in their own individual community. Then you have these influencers that are just really good and they know their audience and they can sell stuff. They can drive movements and messages really well. And you need to think of which one is right for you and how do you then craft it, and then what do you have to work with. So I hope that answers your question.
That's amazing. Super insightful. I'm learning a ton too. I want to go like just back in history because I think a lot of people will really respect or maybe don't understand what the kind of different phases and different brand missions that you had at Red Bull versus Lulu versus Aura. And just to tee it up, like everyone knows Red Bull, right? Like everyone in this room knows that brand. From our conversations, it sounds like Red Bull is just like a money tree, right? Like there was an infinite, kind of almost unchecked process to contracting talent, engaging with them, just the volume of just parties and events and social content, entertainment-based content was massive. So I want to hear how you managed that, any cool stories there. And then if we can get to it too, like, people would think Lulu was kind of the same, but it wasn't, right? It was basically, your directive was, hey, we don't really have any money, but we want you to build a massive brand ambassador program. Like, we want to have tens of thousands of people. Good luck. So I'd love, like, the two differences between that are so crazy, and that you were able to have success on both is amazing. And then Aura is like this blend, right? You've got huge ambassador program that we work on together. You've got top tier celebrity, investors, equity deals. Love to hear kind of the difference between Red Bull, Lulu. Any great stories there?
Yeah, it's been a wild journey, Trig, and when I think back to it, and I have a group of Red Bull friends, and we've been texting for years. That's the core, and that was really, I did cut my teeth in marketing, and I was a failed pro snowboarder, and eventually ended up working
Still
with Red
really
Bull.
good though.
I try, good at skiing with my kids now, and I always loved snowboarding. I loved community, and that naturally lent itself to finding my way in the Red Bull ecosystem because they understand community. They understand how to be credible in every single sport and culture in the world. And yes, they have insane budgets. Like you don't get two F1 teams with not spending a lot of money. And shout out to Dietrich Mateschitz, who's the founder of Red Bull, who passed. And he had a vision. It was to be the #1 beverage company in the world. Not energy drink, but beverage company. And he was willing to be uncompromising in how he did it. And they spent insane money. I would guess over 30% of net profit went back to marketing. You can imagine what you could do with that. And I was just very fortunate enough to be there at the time where we got to spend insane amounts of money. Like, we had budgets for athletes, budgets for projects. I was there when we launched the Red Bull Media House and the High Performance Center. But like, to tell a story, I mean, we had zero travel and entertainment cap, right? So we could, like, when we had athlete
helicopters
houses,
2 blocks away.
Yeah, exactly. It was insane, and it was all about, we knew what we were there to do, right? Red Bull is very clear in, like, we're signing the best athletes and figureheads in the world. We're going to collaborate with them to build content. We're going to keep them at the peak of their game and performance. And they were willing to spend. And when it came to entertainment, man, we had athlete houses in Tahiti, Red Bull House, and North Shore of Oahu, Mammoth, and jet skis and tanks and all sorts of stuff. So I was fortunate enough to be there and get to take advantage of getting to travel around the world, put on projects, meet incredible people, and have these experiences. and it was a ton of fun. And you know, Red Bull's still just an incredible company. I think that they spend a lot on their media house, and probably should have leaned more into third-party platforms, and they've countered, and they're very good. You've seen what they do. But yeah, I'm just lucky to have been there, and Lululemon could not have been more opposite, right?
I mean, to segue to Lulu, the one thing I just want to, it's what's amazing about you is that in an environment like that, the connections that you make, it's like sometimes you move on, you go to a different company, you don't talk to some of these people again, right? It's just life is life. I mean, it's so clear to me. You've had relationships. I mean, we've known each other for 3 years. Like you've had relationships for over a decade with some of these people in the industry, some of this talent. That's really, really hard to do. There's always like pitfalls. People change brands. So it's just amazing. So tell us about Lulu. How jarring was it to basically go from the helicopter world to the hey, build a massive program with nothing world?
It was an abrupt change, Trig.
Did you go in thinking it was going to be like, hey, we've got a big budget, this is Lululemon?
I kind of was sold a little bit of like, yeah, we're going to make sure you have what you need to build this, but
Yeah, I figured to get you over there, there's probably saying some of that.
yeah, I remember we were in where were we? Squaw Valley. It was a athlete snowboard camp, and I had the next up and comers who are now, you know, Red, Gerard, Brock. The kids are winning Olympic medals now. I was at a private half pipe in Squaw, riding pipe, you know, and it was like a dream, you know, and then I remember having to make this decision and thinking, and it came down to like my girlfriend now, my wife now. It's like she was over the lifestyle, the traveling, and so serendipitously I had that opportunity. The CEO at Lululemon at the time, Christine Day, is one of the best leaders and mentors I've had. Like, she really believed in me and made some connections and had a really good conversation with the president of Lululemon, and they had aspirations after the success of what they did in 2010 in Vancouver around the games, around ambassadors, and really owning the podium, was what they used to call it. And so, yeah, I came up and accepted a job, moved to Vancouver, which is a beautiful and amazing place, just like this. And I remember the realization of like my boss telling me we had zero budget to do any, like I literally was like, here's a closet full of gear, you can just send this out for free, and that's pretty much what you're gonna do. And so it was a rude awakening, but it quickly we learned, you know, how to build community with just product, right? It was getting product on the right people at the right time, to where they would conversate and talk about it, right? So sending celebrities or athletes gear. And then it was also about leveraging the store model of Lululemon. So like, I think probably had 200 stores when I first joined, maybe 150. And each store had 5 local ambassadors, 5 to 10, runners, yogis, meditators, trainers. And it was all about that community. And so
that's like what a lot of those pictures were like locally, right? And that's kind of that was like the genesis of that program. Right, it was to localize it based on the retail location. Yeah.
So it was really grassroots, and it was really designed to create conversation, because Lululemon, like everybody probably has a Lululemon story here, and it's I used to get inundated with people's stories. They want to tell me about the product, the functionality, the look, the name, and it took off from there, and we scaled it. I did 6 years in the ambassador program. We helped create the model to how we could work with local influencers and then global influencers. And then I ended my time there doing BD innovation. So we were looking at new business models, you know, investing. You know, that's when Mirror and everything came along. So yeah,
and that was like fun. So, like they were, you know, you're signing up trainers, doing all those like kind of geolocated stuff. How big did that program get?
Oh man, I think in my time there, I think we saw over 60,000 people through the platform.
60,000.
Yeah, year or 2 year terms, and they're pretty big platform by the time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's all said and done.
You think about like the footprint of 60,000 people being engaged with the brand, working in conjunction with the brand as inside the community. It's just super, super powerful.
Yeah, and I think that includes the Sweat Collective, right? How many Sweat Collective members do we have here? Discount it, yeah, 35% discount on Lululemon for being a trainer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when you think about, I guess like a couple high level questions, love more stories too, and want to make sure we have time for other people to ask. Like when you think about brand in general, what does community mean to a brand? Like, obviously all of us want sales, all of us want to be profitable, we we want to succeed, we want to have things in a spreadsheet that tie out, right? Like, but what is a community to a brand? Why is it worth the investment? What does it mean to you? You've touched on a couple things, but I'd love to just hear you on that.
Yeah, thanks. Community is essential to life, right? Like, we all came from a community. We probably belong to multiple tribes where they're important to you, right? And as a brand, I think of a brand that's as important as your product. You know, you have to have a good product, and you have to get your operational business acumen has to be strong. But the community, your users, your members, like, those are the people that you are earning trust with, and you constantly need to be earning trust with, because there's going to be challenges in your business model or hard times, right? And so you're always earning trust with your members and with your community. And I think of it as like the pillar, the pedestal that's going to hold you up forever, right? Because if you build the right network and you earn their trust and add value to their lives, that's a big thing. It's just adding value. Like, I love Dave Wright's thing about saving people time. Those are just beautiful things. If you can add value to your community and really make them feel special, like, that's what we try to do. You know, and that Lululemon, they were masters of that. Like, if you walk into the Lululemon store, you create that experience, and you feel at home, a part of a tribe. You know, so you know, community is so essential, and I think how do you build that? It's often through digital platforms and real life experiences. Lululemon had over 4,000 experiences a year. You know, we used to do yoga, surf retreats with athletes. We used to have small little dinner gatherings. Obviously yoga in store. All relatively free things that help build community in a real sense, right? And I think at Aura, it was really challenging during the pandemic because we couldn't use any of those, right? It was all about like
no events,
yeah. It was all like what can you do digitally online, which is very challenging. But I think that you leverage the third-party platforms to build your message, your community, and pray that everything is positive on Reddit, which never is. But do what you can.
Yeah, you can't control the haters. Just got to lean into them a little bit. Yeah, I think. I mean, you're so smart on this stuff. Feel pretty inspired right now. When I think about this, the community stuff and what you've done, I mean, community is your brand, right? It's like, it is what, it's the enterprise value of your company, right? It's a combination of innovation in product and your community. Like, if you're gonna buy a company, that's what you're buying. Everything else is kind of like a marketing exercise, right? But the people behind the brand, those that speak on behalf of the brand, that are participating with the brand, that's what you can't really get, right? That's really the brand.
Yeah.
That's the value.
And it's hard to be part of a community unless you contribute, right? Like, if you're not contributing to the community, you get ousted. It goes back to the caveman brain, right? If you weren't contributing, you're out. And I think that's where it gets exciting. Like, for Aura, for example, like with raising money with Chris Paul, OBJ, and all of these individuals, like, that network effect was really powerful. And some of the most valuable things they did was actually seeding rings to some key people, right? Kim Kardashian is not an investor. Like, we knew her from the Red Bull days, but like, she's not an investor, and she loves Aura Ring. We take good care of her team, but we never paid her to do anything. And because she has the relationship with Chris Paul and others, like, that's how she fell in love with the product.
Is that one of the reasons, I guess, everyone sitting here is like, again, they would love to do that, I'm sure, if they own a brand. It's a ton of work, it feels expensive. Do you think that that's one of the main benefits, is if you just keep going, if you keep product seeding, you keep onboarding relationships, that you get these like side relationships that set up? You get these, people that you didn't know were customers, they now like start posting about it. Like, that's what happened with the Kim Kardashian post, right? It's just organic, basically.
It's strategic seeding, right? And I think that, like, how do you you got to know your product and who are the right people. I think I wouldn't encourage seeding endlessly, but seeding strategically makes a ton of sense. And our big problem and how we came to know each other is like we scaled so quickly. We had so many ambassadors, people on our platform. We were just launching affiliate, and it was just one with me, right? And I've grown the team since, but it was a challenge to get to the place where we could actually manage all these individuals and create content and actually capture all the deliverables And so that was where Current was just so clutch in terms of like the team here that actually builds the relationships, that helps seek out deliverables and helps ship rings. That's been invaluable to us in our success as Aura. And I remember just like looking at all the different platforms that were out there and like having a conversation with you, and that was ultimately how we met, and just seeing how clear it was of what you guys were doing and how we could better manage our community and pay them, track what they're posting, incentivize them. And it's led to massive success, and affiliate was the thing I didn't know. Like at the time, I was like, I didn't really believe it was gonna drive a lot of revenue, but it really has been significant for us because we essentially seed a ring.
Yeah.
And then some of the team members are here, and I'm grateful for you. You guys follow up with an email, you build a relationship, you get them to post and create a thoughtful integration, because Aura is not cereal. Like, it's not as simple to market. Like, it is a complex product with so many features and benefits that you can't sell them all in one integration, right? So it's about finding the individual who's leveraging it for performance and creating a credible integration. But by far, the affiliate platform has been such a success for us. I'm grateful to you and your team, but it's been a big unlock for us in terms of how to manage the community.
Yeah, it's been crazy working with you over the last few years, just because, one, seeing all the growth, but also just you have, in the platform, we've got payments going out to huge names, right? Like, and then we're all the way at the bottom of the list. It's like just some amazing person that has, a few thousand followers who creates great content. And I think that's what's been really cool is, obviously, you ran Lulu, you had Red Bull. Aura really is spanning all of those pockets, and you are running that pretty seamlessly with a really small team, wearing a ton of hats with us, but it works, right? And it's what's enabled a ton of that growth. It's been so fun to do it. Again,
I'm just so lucky to have leveraged the learnings from Red Bull and at Lululemon and apply it to Aura and really just create the funnel, right? Like celebrities, we all know, are amazing at awareness. Not always the best at selling things, but they don't want to sell things, but they're amazing at building awareness. But it's when you look at the micro influencers versus the big names you pay money, you're like, wow, they drive a lot of sales.
The chasm between them is like,
Yeah, but
a little jarring
each
sometimes.
does have its purpose. You just gotta stay the course.
100%. Well, it was awesome talking. Let's do a round of applause for Dave, of course.
And Trig.
Sure, I'll take it. So we have like 15 minutes to do questions. I think we've got mics that are gonna run around a little bit. So, right? Okay, yep. He's got it. So anyone who has questions, we're happy to do it. So we got here and there.
Thanks for speaking, both of you. Really interesting. Something that I'd like to ask is, at a low budget, what would be 2 or 3 critical things that you'd recommend to scale an ambassador and/or affiliate program?
And what's the product?
Protein bar.
Protein bar? Awesome.
Low carb, low sugar protein bar.
What's it called?
Can do. It's about what you can do, not what you can't. It's the Crisp bar, though. Keto Crisp, it used to be
I
called.
like that.
I love it. Can't wait to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think finding those advocates that love your product and use it every day, and it solves a problem, right? Especially are you based here? LA. I mean, another active community, right? Like, what problem does it solve for a very active community that needs to fuel on the go? And I think just understanding their point, understanding your community, who you're trying to market and target, and then just building the solve, right? And then finding those key individuals who are really going to help raise awareness to that and are going to be very giving in their likeness in that. Like, I would find somebody in that 10,000 follower range who just is really core to what they do. Get them to work in exchange for products, so you don't have to be out on cash compensation, or just be fair in what's right for compensating them for their time, and then be able to whitelist that and just leverage that on their side and on your side. And I would run that playbook every month and iterate and just try to expand from there and establish a baseline and just expand. That's what I would do with very little budget.
Yeah, that's good advice. I'd like look at your customers first, right? Like there's always a handful of people that you just don't realize are already interested, have 5,000 followers, 10,000 followers. Like that gives you a little validation to go recruit a couple other creators. You know, like all human beings, we all like to see that there's action before you jump in. And so if you can get those first handful, it validates the brand and it makes it a lot easier to recruit other creators. And yeah, and like he said, just give away the product, maybe do some commission stuff, maybe get some B-roll photos from them, use those in ads, try to figure out a little lane that's working and then scale it up.
And look for gatekeepers, right? Like who's the trainer for the Lakers? Like, do they like your product? And they'll give it to other people for you, and then people will be coming to you for your product.
Yep.
Mm.
Have you ever had partnerships with bigger influencers that you didn't think went very well? Do you kind of get rid of them from your community? How do you deal with that?
So the question is, who's worked really well, integrations or partnerships?
Or have you ever had one that was bad? I think it's like a bad story. Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, always. I think that it's a challenging position to be doing what we're doing, right? Because you are all representing a brand, representing a budget. You have a lot of expectation on getting ROI. And to take a leap of faith and to collaborate with a third-party creator or celebrity, there's always a lot of risk in that. You kind of have to acknowledge that. And when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong if you're working with very elite level, high level talent. I've got some stories, but I won't tell you. But I think that I think that on the flip side, I believe that the benefits are far greater, right? If you hit it right and you do it really thoughtfully, you can win big. An example for us when we were launching Generation 3 or the Oura Ring. We had creators like iJustine and John Rettinger and even Lindsey Vonn. They drove a ton of sales because it was the right time, the right person, the right messaging, and it just was exponential returns. I've been trying to chase those kind of sales numbers ever since, but it's if you do it right, it's definitely worth the risk.
I think also it's like a culture thing inside of your brand where there's no way to hit 10 for 10, right? If that's your expectations or your boss's expectations, it's just an unreasonable environment as a marketer to not have any risk in building these communities, working with influencers. You're gonna have some zeros and you're gonna pay for them, and everyone just has to be okay with it. Otherwise, you'll end up you'll bail on the program, right? Because you'll have some stuff that doesn't work, or you'll have something that works amazingly well, and then everyone keeps trying to chase that dragon of it has to perform this way constantly. Really, it's about consistency, being in a position to take the proper risks, having a low ego environment, right? It is like GMing a sports team. You're gonna sign some players that aren't good, and that's okay because you can get out of it and you can do a better job the next time. Use that insight. So there's always going to be bad deals. Always. Can't avoid them. All right. Did we have other questions? I maybe should have asked that before.
I was just curious, what the difference is between an affiliate program and an ambassador influencer program, and what the importance is between either one, and if they're both necessary or for companies.
They all can be the same, and they all can be different.
Totally. Yeah, it's really on how you want to, what your product is, and if it's right to have an affiliate, someone actually promoting to sell, or someone who just wants to be a figurehead for your movement, whatever that is. And oftentimes these brand ambassadors, they don't want to do a lot of work. They just are yep, you can use my face, my likeness, as long as I approve anywhere for the duration of this term. And so in my mind, the differentiation between a brand ambassador is someone you're paying to get a point across, you're going to use them, right?
It's almost like an endorsement deal.
Basically an endorsement deal. And an affiliate is someone who's going to ingest and learn as much as they can about you and your company, and then bring that to life in their world in a relevant way that's going to move product for you.
A lot of our clients are like Dave, where they have really top of funnel awareness with influencer, celebrity, really not as much like focus on ROAS and, driving certain metrics. And then their kind of ambassador, micro influencer program, or, advocates, like tons of words there, affiliates. That is really more of like a commission-based program. Well, some clients are looking at it like a cost per content type model, right? Taking the user-generated content, the influencer content, running that as ads. So depending on how your marketing team's set up, what they're already good at, is kind of how these programs get formed. But those are two really common, kind of like that tier A awareness, and then maybe a little bit more performance focused out of the affiliate mid-tier influencers.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your sweat, the people who are the trainers that make, I'm a dental product, so hygienists are really a good fit for us, and I want to maximize that, so I was just wondering if you could tell us how you maximize that.
Yeah, the Sweat Collective was a really beautiful, ingenious program we created just for trainers, right? Because it reinforces the value of Lululemons. They were designed and created for yogis, right? And then expanded into other sports. And they just wanted to maintain that credibility and that offering for that community, and to keep it like a endeared and coveted thing, right? And so you had to be an accredited trainer or prove that you were training in a location somewhere. Therefore, you were eligible for a discount. I don't know if it's 25 or 35% now. You guys know better than me these days. But I think that's a great way to do it, because you're giving them a gentle discount, a small discount, and then they're going to advocate for you, and they're going to probably promote for you, and you don't have to do the affiliate tie-on, right? You can if you want to, but it's oftentimes more authentic if they're advocating because it's a great product. So if it's a great product and you get lower the barriers of entry for the right people and create that word of mouth, they're going to drive that for you, right? And you don't have to pay them anything. So I think it's a great idea.
Are you trying to sign up like practitioners? Like, is that the group that you're going after?
So our product is for consumers.
Okay.
And we want hygienists to recommend it, and they love it. So I just am trying to figure out how to make more of them know it exists.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea. And just it's easy to emulate. It's hard to create something that new, and there's so many programs and things out there. I would just emulate what Lululemon has done.
Yeah. Use the pocket of people that already love it to try to recruit incrementally against that. You can use tools like us to try to flag certain content types, certain account types. You can do recruiting lists against it. I mean, there's ways to go really fast at it, and get your message out to a bunch of hygienists at once.
It's amazing.
It's still I do agree with you. The authentic way to do it is kind of hey, find the best people, let them go word of mouth to recruit, and then once you got a good set, then I think you can go really aggressive and broad and do email sequencing to a huge list of hygienists.
Well, to talk about your capabilities real quick, I mean, I use the search feature within Current all the time to better understand, if we're doing a specific feature that's relevant for runners, I can leverage the Current platform to find runners and isolate and then create lists, and it's very valuable. I think for your world, that'd be pretty key too. Another brand might be Figs as a good model for you. They've crushed it in the medical space for scrubs.
Yeah, good recommendation.
Hi, I was just wondering, so if you have a current ambassador program, how do you cultivate those ambassadors? Because obviously all influencers are bombarded by a ton of different brands. And so how do you keep forefront of mind to them to make sure to push your product? Do you do, it sounds like email sequencing, potentially, events? What's kind of your best tips and tricks for that?
That's an awesome question. It's how do you keep them active? How do you keep them going?
Yeah, I can speak to it real quick. I mean, thanks to Paige and team at Current, they've done such an amazing job at taking inbounds from us. So we forward, introduce, and then they'll see products. But then they'll manage the whole cohort for us. And we have monthly challenges, we have new software updates or offerings, and we challenge the community to activate that way. And it's not about a discount, right? It's more trying to share the benefits of Aura, the reasons to believe, how can you get better sleep to be a better parent? So activating it in that way is how we use it.
Yeah, it's hard. You have to do campaigns all the time, right? Like where we see brands fail is like they do all this effort, they onboard all these people, and they don't give them anything to do. They don't communicate. They kind of think, oh, like, well, I'm paying you 15%, so you're going to be here forever. But everyone in this room has competition, right? If you're a supplement company, it's like you could have the best supplement company ever, but there's 100 brands hitting that influencer's inbox every week. Like one time we got into an influencer's inbox, they're getting 8,000 emails a day from mostly brands, right? Like startup companies hitting them up. So there's a lot of noise for them. So once you onboard that relationship, and this is what you've just done so expertly in your career, is you keep it. Like keep the relationship going, feed it, send them product every month, right? You tier it out, put people in different groups, create specific campaigns for them. What do you want them to do? All of that is super important. And you've got to have someone on the team or someone like Current that has bandwidth to make sure that that's happening. Otherwise, you kind of atrophy the program over time.
Yeah, make them feel special, right? Like that's the differentiation. If you go in a Lululemon store versus the North Face or any other brand, like you're just going to be treated a specific way, and people just want to be treated nice and get their butt kissed a little bit on occasion.
All right, well, we're out of time, but I'm going to take one more question and get in trouble. Do we have one? I feel like maybe someone raised their hand. Maybe not. Okay, we can be done.
I have another question.
Oh, okay, go.
How much do you put towards how much percentage of like your marketing budget do you say I'm going to put towards giving away product or giving towards ambassadors?
Ooh, that's a really tough question. Whoa. I think I would look at how much are you looking to dedicate to your marketing spend overall, right? Lululemon was less than 3%, right? And so most of that was product in the early days. So I would find a number that feels comfortable to you into your margin profile, what makes sense. And then I would probably look at, depending on what your model is and how you're doing it, it depends if you're spending money or if it's just going to be a pure product play in seeding. If it was just seeding, I'd probably look to maybe 30% of that and run that. But I think that, again, you need to create a full picture of the strategy and look at the funnel and how do you raise awareness, how do you get them to consider, and how do you convert them. And really the Sweat Collective model, affiliate model is about the closing, all right, the end of the funnel.
Yeah, just invest early. It'll feel expensive to start, and then you start tapering it off, I think. But the beginning is going to be it's going to feel a little bit over-invested if you do it right. You're going to be sending a lot of products. You're not going to sure what you're getting from it. So I think that's our recommendation usually to brands. Like, hey, if you're just getting started, you got to kind of get after it with some momentum at first. Don't be too guarded or have too high of expectations. And then once you see that traction, you can focus yourself and start reducing those ratios and just do what works.
And you got to commit to it. You can't just do it for a month, right? You got to say 6, 12 months, like we're in this and we're going to give it a good go, and just look at it at a monthly.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Dave and Trig. We now have a 15-minute break in between sessions. We'll be back here at 2:30. We also have sessions happening on e-commerce technology, brand control, and logistics and fulfillment. See you at 2:30.
You to breathe me. Let me be ocean, no sin. How deep is your love? Is it like the ocean? What devotion are you? How deep is your love? Is it like Nirvana? Hit me harder again. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? How deep is your love? Is it like the ocean? Pull me closer again. How deep is your love? How deep is your love? How deep is your love? How deep is your love?
temperature, cause to me she's 0 degrees, she cold over freeze. I got that girl from overseas, now she's my Miss America, and I cannot be her soldier, please. I'm fighting for this girl on the battlefield of love. Don't it look like baby Cupid sending arrows from above? Don't you ever leave the side of me, definitely not probably, and honestly I'm down like the economy. Yeah,
show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me now. Walk away, you know how. Don't start caring about me now. Aren't you the guy who tried to hurt me with the word goodbye? Though it took some time to survive you, I'm better on the other side. I'm all good already, so moved on, it's scary. I'm not where you left me at all. So if you don't wanna see me dancing with somebody, if you wanna believe that anything could stop me, don't show